All right, and we're recording. So, looking at our agenda this morning, we can get to the right doc. So, welcome, Alexi, to the team. It's your first team meeting. Glad to have you here. All right, and then you all want to jump right into the roadmap brain dump. Should I share it on this screen so we're all looking at the same thing? Does everybody want to look at the doc separately?
No need. We can just everyone look at the doc themselves. So
okay.
Yeah, Camille, you had updated two issues in the bucket A.
Yes, I updated two issues to see like if this format does help us and if we should maybe split and like make us to update all the other issues to follow the same format.
Yeah. So should we just start from the top one, 62722?
Yeah.
You see that it's in the new format. I like it. It looks great.
Me too.
I just wonder what we should do, like, because I always have some like feature extensions, and I wonder what we should do with the feature extensions. Maybe this is something that I added. Maybe like outside of the template, maybe each of these feature extensions should have the separate issue, or like be migrated to separate issue as soon as we identify that this is something that should be interesting for us to work in the future as part of the backlog.
My thoughts, not suggestion, but my thoughts is future extensions. We probably can just create the issues and add the links here, explain what they are, so we don't lose them.
Yeah.
Once we have the issue in the issue tracker, they won't get lost.
Yeah, and if they're easily attainable within the scope of this issue, then they can always be picked up and added as well, right?
Yeah.
And if not, then yes, just create a new issue and link it here. Okay. How did y'all do this before? Did you actually walk through each of the issues, or just assume that that was done asynchronously and take this time to ask any questions?
Yeah, just took down asynchronously. I mean, most of the stuff we did is asynchronous. So okay. This time is this one is probably just, it's new to us. Review the format, and Camille suggested this format. I like it, to be honest.
Yep. Agreed. I like it too. I like the future extensions additions. Thanks for that, Camille. All right. Did anybody have any questions on any of the content of the memory roadmap brain dump?
Is that a running doc, or is a one time? Once we have that in shape, I already shared with Stan and Eric Brinkman. So, but I'm just wondering if that's a running doc, or we need to document it somewhere and pass ownership to product. Camille, what do you think?
Sorry, can you ask again?
So the brain dump doc. So that's basically we're trying to put together the product requirements backlog. Is that a running doc that we keep working in the Google Doc, or we want to, document it somewhere in the handbook or our project pages, something like that? And also, who will continue to maintain that? Because I see, once we have the product manager hired, this kind of work will be driven by the product manager. So right now, who will be the main owner of this thing?
So I would say that like it's kind of like the split responsibility between PM and engineering manager. Because I think that like PM responsibility is to figure out like the most important topics from the customer, which is us and like other customers, and Craig responsibility is like figuring out all the missing pieces and triaging and figuring out the capacity for delivering that. Should we maintain the doc? I would prefer if we use GitLab for doing that. So epics, issue boards, maybe preemptively assign milestones for something that we think that this should be the right milestone. Like I could discuss that like with the future PM when we have that, when we plan to work on that. Kind of like pre-planning the potential capacity that we have from our velocity, how we see how it's progressing.
Yeah, I agree with Camille. Responsibility does fall on me and for now Eric, and that's already kind of happening. Bucket C, Eric communicated with me that it's top of Sid's mind, especially the last two. So bullet points 2 and 3 under C that fall under Epic 954. He said those are top of mind for Sid. So we need to triage and prioritize those for this sprint if we can. And also agree with Camille that we should use GitLab, and it's going to take me a little bit of time to get familiar with how to organize those and use all the boards, but grouping by epic and making sure they're in priority order so we know what we're working on. This has been greatly and immensely helpful to organize things for now, but yeah, ultimately GitLab should be the source of truth for everything that we're working on, so we have one place to look and comment, all those things. But this has been huge for onboarding. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, so something like we will finish. I mean, we will just use this doc first and get all the issues prioritized. And of course, they're already in a GitLab issue tracker. So once that work is done, we will deprecate this doc and everything. The truth of the source of truth is the GitLab issue tracker at gitlab.com. And we'll. In the future, for future items, we'll continue to add issues to our issue tracker. That's the source of the truth.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and also we have 3 epics right now. As we see new epics, we'll continue to add new epics in the issue tracker too. So we don't need kind of a doc to tell us what buckets we have. We just look at the epics.
Is there, so we have a link to the planning board on here, link to the epics up top, nice. Okay, so link to the epics is just a filter on any type of epic with a label memory in it. Okay.
Yeah, the planning board doesn't show the epic issues there. So
right.
I'm learning the functionality, but it doesn't show the epic issues.
So it doesn't show the epic issues, but we have separate view for the epics because epics have the due date assigned. So you can have kind of like the Gantt board from the epics to see how we are progressing into epics. Okay. Let me find the link because it's actually the roadmap. This is what we are looking for.
Yeah, it is in the breakdown. The epics board is in the breakdown. Yeah, right now, yeah, we have 4 epics. The one very big one, the vision epic. Other than that, the 3 buckets or the 3 epics for our 3 buckets at this point.
So to the links at the top of our doc, I added another link, the roadmap, which kind of shows the timeline of the epics that we have created.
Where is that? I don't see it.
The top of the doc, the GitLab memory doc, or the Zoom group chat. This is another place where you can find that link.
Okay.
Or I can just show you. This is another view that we have, which kind of shows like the Gantt type board for the epics.
Oh, okay.
And technically, what we can do if we see like that there is many issues that they are kind of like try to implement the feature, which is a little broader, we can kind of like stack different epics. So like have the smaller epics created that like hierarchically are assigned to bigger epics. And it kind of have more granular view of the epics over time. and like execution of these epics, and have like the bigger epics which kind of like have a list of the issues and also a list of the epics.
I also want to add that this is a bottom-up view. It's not like Gantt chart in Jira where you just draw the date. So if you want to see the dates, you need to put a milestone on it or a due date on your issues, and then it will bubble up. So it's a bit different, but it works pretty well. If like a team is starting new and like the directors and managers already have visibility, like the brain dump, which is awesome. I love it that you guys have that doc there. But yeah, it's, if you put milestones and due dates on those issues, then you would see a Gantt chart view automatically.
Cool. Okay, so is there a commitment phase in the planning? Because is it tomorrow is the end of the sprint, and then the 8th is the start of the sprint, right? Or the iteration?
Yeah, we shall finish planning by end of tomorrow for 12.1. Oh, sorry, Yan, you had something to say.
No, just you are right. I can confirm what you said. The 8th is beginning of sprint, so we should have plan at that point.
So what does it mean to have a plan? Does it mean we have dates and labels on the tickets, or sorry, the issues that we're committing to?
I would expect that we, ideally on this call, we might want to clarify what we will commit, or we will sort out the priority for each of the bucket, and we will discuss what we will work on and in what priority.
Yeah, I actually added the last item to our meeting agenda is basically, of course, assign priorities, that's grooming, and then pick issues from the P1 bucket. So we start from P1 for next release. That's my proposal.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. On slide before, I mentioned that we typically expect feedback from product management about what is important for the next cycle, but in this case, we don't have Eric is interim product manager, and I guess there are not product requirements at this point yet. I mean,
Right.
real, so it mostly depends on us to decide what is important. So yeah, I think that starting with or assigning or get to the agreement what has highest priority would be
And
good.
And he's invited, but he just cannot make it today.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's here, I'm sure he will give his opinions what's important. But we can make a proposal and have him review. If he feels that's right, we'll go ahead. If he says we need some adjustment, we'll listen to him and incorporate that into our planning.
Yeah, he's already asked about issues that are contained within bucket C. So I'm assuming that indicates that he sees them as a high priority because, as he put it, Sid was asking about those because they are top of mind. Enabling Puma is top of mind for Sid. 409-57042 are included in the epic that Sid was asking about. And we already have a P1 labeled next to 3896.
Mm-hmm.
So do we need to label the other two as P1s since they were inquired about?
I would say yes.
So
yeah.
So technically, Eric should make that call, Craig. Like we can give you our feedback of people have asked about it, but the reality is like you should be saying, Eric, tell me which ones are P1s from your perspective.
Okay.
And if he wants to prioritize based on that, let's just make sure we're not asking people to work on something for a day and then ask them to do something else the next day, as it were.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's got a couple days to get those in, so I will ask about priorities on those.
Like if he's inquiring about it, he needs to be a little more, explicit, and then
Sure.
work on it from that perspective, just to kind of get good habits in place.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, just that I think that the point here is to make Puma enabled in production as soon as possible.
Mhm.
And I think, I wonder what kind of things, but I think that to make this possible, we need to first enable Puma for development mode and also solve the thread safety issue. So I would expect that both these issues are prerequisite to get closer to the point to make it enabled in production. So
you said enable in development and thread safety. I believe there are issues for both of those somewhere.
About the thread safety, this is the tricky part, because I don't think that we have to solve that issue, and I don't know if we can actually, because Sidekey works in the same model as Puma for pretty much forever. I would rather say that like we should revisit if there are some like smoking guns that we are maybe not yet aware, that maybe we should solve as part of the thread safety. But the thread safety issue is more like the something that we should figure out how to make that part of like our code practices, that we just don't have like this kind of thread safety, mutex hooking problems, concurrent access happening in the future. I'm just not scared about like the thread safety of the Puma itself, because we run the Sidekey, the same model, pretty much like since the beginning. We tried to run Puma in the past, but the problem with the Puma was basically memory leaking, not the thread safety. So it was slightly different problem. I would only say that like we should try to revisit this issue if there is something that screams to us, and figure out to basically slowly walk through these offenses and enable thread safety cop for everyone.
yeah, that makes sense.
About enabling Puma for development, I would just create a merge request right now and enable that for everyone. The sooner we do that, the more people will try it.
Does somebody want to take that on?
So unless anyone is interested, I can do that. Yeah, I think we will have to check that everything still works properly. I mean, the whole GDK with Puma, but I expect there will not be problem. But yeah. So unless anyone else is interested, I can work on it.
Okay. Let's see. Back to the agenda here. So I will make sure that Eric follows up with priorities on these. Select issues. Have everyone review. Once we get priorities on them, have everyone review the issues, and do folks assign themselves and then put a due date on them? Is that how it works? By the 8th? If a sprint start falls on a weekend, do you just kick it off on the following Monday?
Yes. So probably by end of tomorrow, we shall have the consensus from Eric for the priorities, and
Okay.
also the selected issues for 12.1. So basically, we need his confirmation that looks good for next month.
And we're not as consistent on due dates, Craig. So that's more flexible. The one thing that I would do is put in the milestone, because we do use the milestone to track work rather than due dates.
So
due
that's how you indicate the selected work is have a milestone on there.
Yeah. And then due dates you'll see in other forms where it's more like it's not related to like handbook updates or those kinds of things where it's like, hey, we're working on an issue related to this. We're going to put a due date on it, as opposed it's not really tied to a release, but for work that's tied to releases, we just put it in the milestone.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to figure out what how you bind them all together to understand what you're working on for this sprint. So
Yeah.
Sounds like
The other thing to note is we're extremely iterative. So a lot of team decisions can also influence this. So you could talk to Eric and also the team about it. Maybe even just have a little bit of a work session because you're forming a team here, right? So like that's the other part of this is you all need to figure out how you want it to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll see if we can get feedback from them today, and then we can iterate on it throughout the day, today and tomorrow, so that we can hopefully come to a consensus by Monday. Yeah. Okay. We still have 8 minutes. Let's see. So the format looks good. Working on Epic. I have this question below. Camille, you want to talk about the question you have on Epic 954?
Yeah, so our probably the biggest priority is enabling Puma on GitLab.com, and I started this issue about some rough plan, and I started pinging people from the infrastructure team because they're gonna be mostly their responsibility on configuring our infrastructure and enabling that in stages for staging for us and then system wide. So I started asking about who else we may need to actually work on the plan that would allow us to figure out some timeline for this to happen. And with that, there is the connected question. It seems that this is the multi-stage process for enabling that. It's not gonna that we flip the switch for everyone overnight. It's rather we're gonna enable more and more environments over time. So likely, this seems to me that we should convert this issue into Epic. Because we have the Epic for the GitLab org, which GitLab org feels for me this is our development process for developing the product, and GitLab.com is our users of the product. So having the mirror Epic for the enabling Puma on GitLab.com seems the right place for the GitLab.com. And with that is connected to the Chan question, how we validate that Puma is behaving correctly. So this was the question that the section that I started below, which is come in, we have testbed. I am not certain about issue that tracks the plan. And Mac actually created this issue right away. And then it's some thread there about the next steps.
Mm-hmm. Seems reasonable to me. Seems like a good idea.
So Chris,
sorry, go ahead, Camille.
So I think, Christopher, this is probably the question to you because it's probably part of the global optimization effort. We need to engage infrastructure team that would allow us to execute this enabling of the Puma on more and more environments. I asked David from the infrastructure team and Andrew, but maybe we need more involvement from more people on this story.
Did you? How did you ask? Did you ask via issues, Slack, or?
I asked via issue, and I did ask that 3 hours ago, so they did rightly not had the time to respond. But I think that this is gonna be very crucial item for us.
Okay. Which issue is it? I apologize, Camille.
Just posted in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's more to make you aware of that. This is something of the big importance for us.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a little bit of percolation, but I'll make Jerry aware from that perspective. just to see if we can get some help there from that perspective. Okay. Thanks for that heads up.
This is kind of like the bootstrap issue, and I think that like we still have to like work together on the details. Probably also like with the Mac and the quality team, because the testing procedure gonna be also part of the quality validation.
So Camille, I was going to respond or vocalize my answer here. There's a Slack channel dedicated for changing things on pre-prod. The channel is pre-prod, and Jarv is normally really good at this. So if you request some changes, he will respond right away. And enabling the test for pre-Puma at GitHub.com, we need Sanat's help until Grant Young joins on June 17th, who we dedicated SDET for this team, and he has performance testing and all that stuff.
Okay.
Loaded, yeah.
Okay, so I started some work on the performance testing so that Sanat started working. I have also some merge requests open there to make it easier to discover this configuration. So like I just gonna work more closely with Sanat and the new developer joining.
Yes, we'll get Sanat for now. I know the time zone is a bit strange. He can't join this meeting because he's in Pakistan, but he's normally pretty good at responding asynchronously.
And my question here is, do we have a set of metrics to measure already, and we are able to measure them? And also, how do we benchmark or at least some side-by-side data to show that this thing didn't, when we switch to Puma, nothing regressed, and we see some improvements under some conditions. So the side-by-side comparison. So do we have a plan like that?
I think it's already there on pre-prod. We have Grafana metrics coming in already, memory and CPU consumption, and on the services as well. With the Puma fork on pre, I also believe that Jarv has another dashboard for that as well. Comparing side by side on a time snapshot is still the boring solution of take a screenshot and then save it in an issue. That should be a GitLab feature, I know, but right now it's just that's the boring solution to compare.
Cool. Would you mind to share the link or point us to there? So honestly, I'm just
sure.
I still don't know. Yeah,
I will find it. It's probably in this document somewhere. We were talking about it way earlier
cool.
on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we have 1 minute left. So other decision on here, team members continue to review the issues to see which makes sense for you to work on this sprint. And we will continue to chat offline asynchronously. And I will get feedback from Eric. All right, I'm going to stop recording and then I will upload later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.